Hi, how are you? I want to talk about schizophrenia. This is a really difficult topic for me to talk about because it's very confusing. I'm still trying to understand myself, um, and I'm trying to understand what happened to me and who I've been over the past like 8, 10 years, and the struggles I've faced and how those are related to my mental illness. And it's proving very difficult to kind of understand it all. But I am getting some bursts of enlightenment here and there. Um, I had very, I think I've been, I guess, psychotic for a long time. Just the way that I thought about things was very symbolic and detached from reality. And I've been paranoid in the past about people trying to kill me. Um, because I have fixated on this. I was fixated on a story that I was told when I was younger about a cousin who was murdered by his friends. So I became paranoid that my friends were out to kill me. Or and unrelated to that, I also got paranoid that my other friends were plotting against me. And had a conspiracy against me to create. In a couple different instances, for instance, um, they were going to have people stationed at my house ready to destroy my house, and then I would come in and they would destroy me as well or harm me as well. Or I met someone and he was from a bad part of the city, and I led him to my house to help me with bringing a table to my house. And I got paranoid that he was going to come with his family, and they were going to rob me and steal all of my grandpa's art and all the precious things in my home. So I ended up hiding all the art inside of a room, my dad's room, while he was gone. I'm sure it looked very odd, and um, but I've been through a lot. I've been really afraid of. I've always felt things like energy, to a very high degree, and it's always told me things about people. I've been interpreting the energy of people and things around me as messages about the future, about how people feel, etc., etc. And it's not always been correct. Now that I'm medicated, I don't feel it anymore, so I can only imagine that it was part of a mental illness. Um, but the so I've been experiencing symptoms of schizophrenia, like paranoia, and um, mostly paranoia and physical hallucinations, feeling sensations that weren't there. And occasionally I've heard voices, um, and I've had intrusive thoughts and repeated thought echo, and um, all that stuff is gone now. So I can only imagine that it was part of my mental illness. And um, but when I like the especially confusing part was, oh, there was a I especially confusing part was this period of time where I was having a spiritual breakthrough, and I guess it was also affected by the fact that I'm schizophrenic. So I was believing that in magic and that I was doing magic and that things were happening because I willed it to. And I started to have a very magical view of the universe. And I did a lot of drugs, and I heard voices on the drugs. Um, I heard one day I heard a demon. I was in the shower. I took a bunch of gabapentin, I think, and I was in the shower, and I had been thinking about psychology because I didn't really understand psychology or what it studied, and a voice started to like manifest as like a presence, and it was like swimming around my body, going around my body and looking me over, and it told me that I looked good, and that I had done a good job of creating an identity for myself, and offered me a shortcut to understanding psychology. And I didn't believe in shortcuts, so I was like, no. Because I kind of, while it was happening, I felt I could see it. I could see my identity like all before me, and and I could feel that it was going to go away if I agreed to the shortcut, which was very, very unsettling. So I said I refused, and it went away. But I had a bad feeling that I had chosen the wrong thing, and that I was going to pay for it. And at this point, I've been thinking that all my experiences were spiritual. I hadn't really been. When I was younger, I thought might have schizophrenia, because I was hearing the voice of God, pretending it was my girlfriend, or being my girlfriend and boyfriend, or appearing to be, or claiming to be my girlfriend and my boyfriend, and also waking me up in the middle of the night to tell me that if I left the place that I was currently in, it would forsake me. And I've been thinking that I was a wolf, and feeling, just kind of interpreting the world and myself kind of in a frenzied way. And I was scared because I believe that that Yogananda, because I was at an ashram when I had my first real experience with hearing voices and stuff, and I've been afraid that Yogananda was trying to get me to come into his fold, into his religion of self-realization fellowship by doing Kriya Yoga, and so I avoided it, and I felt like everything was pressuring me to do it. I also had plans to eat hemlock, which I thought grew in the area. So I felt like a danger to myself, so I was like, I gotta get out of here. And I was prepared to walk to the train station, but someone picked me up, or took me. But it was a very harrowing experience, and I thought it was schizophrenia. But fast forward back to when I was hearing the voice in the shower, I was seeing life in a spiritual way, and interpreting all of my perceptual oddities and differences as being spiritual in nature and mystical. So it's probably the most heightened experience I had with schizophrenia. And that wasn't necessarily paranoid. But yeah, then so I went to then some time passed, and I had some experiences, like I had some hallucinations and visual hallucinations, and then I went to school, and at that time I was still feeling things in the air, and like feeling like this, like what I called soma, which was like this communicative force that permeated existence and was emanated by beings and inanimate objects alike that could tell you things about your environment and people. I was reading and interpreting. I was quite perceptive, actually. At that time, I was good at reading situations, and I was very connected to my intuition. Although at one point I thought I could tell the future, or I kept trying to tell the future, and I was led away from that by a sermon given that was talking about the spirit of divination, and how it's like a demon or something, or some kind of spirit that takes over you, where you're always trying to tell the future. So I was like, out, you demon, and I got rid of that. Stopped thinking like that. But when I went at school, I was just kind of, I don't know, I was weird. I was still having physical hallucinations and feeling sensations and like really intense feelings, and I think I was hearing stuff like inside my head, like words and stuff, and my thoughts were echoing, and intrusive thoughts, and I thought that like I had this belief that like I thought that the things that I read were preparing me, like in a book, like things that I read in books, preparing me for a period, like an event in my life. And this is based on the fact that a lot of the books that I did read had some, like I read The Castle by Kafka, and there was a point where I realized that I was acting just like the protagonist, K, and I was able to analyze my behavior based on using the book as a jumping off point and stop my behavior and change my behavior. So I thought that books and reading material were able to predict kind of what would happen in my life. So when I got to school, I found myself reading about King Solomon and demons, and I was like, oh great, well I guess I'm gonna have to be contending with demons here, because I've been like really into the spirit world, and like I wanted to be a shaman, and I really wanted to like start experiencing like spirits and multidimensional entities, and I believed in them. So I ended up going to, so while I was in school, sorry, I lost my train of thought. So being in school, I had a lot of challenges. I was feeling things so intensely that I had no idea what to do about them, except for to kind of mess up relationships and say dumb things and write dumb things that didn't make any sense, and prophesy. And I started like talking to my family about like deep intellectual things and changing my way of interacting with people. I thought I was a philosopher, and I thought I was supposed to be, and I had like prophetic word to give to people, and I don't know. I was just very open to like so much information that made me feel kind of smart. I was just like remembering things, and like I was just very. It's hard to explain. I would like remember like a whole building or like room and the state of it and like all the things in it and stuff. Oh, and I would go around looking for clues, or not looking for clues, but I would go around and get messages from things that I saw, or just learn things about the world. Like when I got particularly bad, I went around looking for like trying to prepare myself to meet this girl, and I did see things like I had like imaginative. Like I don't really know the difference between like imagination and hallucinations because since I was a kid, I was trying to see like enhance my imagination. Not really enhance. I was trying to see things that weren't there. So I would like even when I got older, I would put like effort into visualizing things that weren't there. Sometimes I would feel hallucination, like visual hallucinations, but I wouldn't have them. Um, like I would feel the presence of something, like visually, like I would feel it, like it was like supposed to be there or something, or like, but it wouldn't be. And I started looking around my school and walking around and stuff, and I got these messages that I was supposed to enter or be that she was at Eve and I was Adam, and that we were God's second. Um, we were God's second. We were the second chance for humanity, and God was going to allow us to enter the Garden of Eden, but it was going to be a dark garden, and it meant that it was based on this idea of like BDSM that I've read before, where the author was talking about the dark garden being a place um, where like like more um, darker sexuality was a lead in to spiritual enlightenment and release and catharsis and growth in the realization of the self. Like that BDSM was a channel to spiritual growth um, and this idea kind of became like a island of its own. It separated from the original context, and I believe that we were gonna have license to do whatever we wanted sexually. That was gonna be a garden, but God allowed us to smoke some weed sometimes and have deviant, really weird sex. So I had these ideas, and and then there was another time where I was in the shower, and I heard God's voice telling me that, or not God's. I was either heard God's voice, or I knew somehow that God had this mission for me, this special mission, and that I was supposed to bring enlightenment or something to like black people in the world or something. And then I got on the ground and was like, I'm a worm, God, I'm a worm, I'm undeserving of this. And it really felt like the presence of God was like, I felt so genuine that I was being when you think about it, it's like, why would God want you to call yourself a worm and squirm and lie on the ground like butt ass naked, like in reverence? What are you doing, buddy? So I had this idea that God wanted me and this girl to carry out this mission and to have weird wonky sex, and that we were soulmates or something. So I ended up involving her, in my psychosis, and I messaged her and was like, God wants us to be together or something so that we can carry out this big thing. And to my surprise, she was like, what? Okay, cool. Yeah, you're right. Great. Yes, me too. I feel this way, that this could be a possibility. So, and then I started having hallucinations, like, all my hallucinations, like, everything that I don't know, like, anyway, I had this hallucination. I started staring at her picture, trying to, like, understand her sexuality. So, I was really wanting to get laid. I told my roommate. A voice told me to tell my roommate that I was gonna get laid, so that I could, like, proclaim my intention and therefore make my will come true on Earth. And yeah, so I was looking at her picture, and I started it started to, like, morph, like, her face and, like, features and stuff. Like, the more I tried to, like, it was like a puzzle. I was trying to put together the puzzle, or, like, put together the puzzle in order to make a picture of who she was sexually. And the image started to, like, change and stuff, and eventually I did see her as, like, I saw her sexually, like, with appeal and allure. And I don't know, I did this weird stuff where I started thinking about her, and, like, it's like things were just coming to my mind, like, messages were coming to my mind, and I had this idea that, like, we had things to talk about. I forget, it was like I knew that there was like seven things to talk about or something like that, some weird thing, and I told it to her, and she was like, "Come over now." It was like some key to her or something, to some key to, like, to it was like something that was very sensitive to her, that um, I'd that I'd triggered, or, like, touched upon, or, like, wandered on, or stumbled on through this divination process or whatever. And she was like, "Yes, come over now." And I went over her house, and I told her, like, about God and that he had a mission, but that I couldn't tell her what it was until she was ready. So she proceeded to tell me, like, process her life with me, in front of me, and like, her, like, relationship with her parents, and, like, what had been happening. She told me that God talks to her too, and that he usually tells her things and stuff. So it was very fertile ground for two people to kind of be crazy together, because we both heard voices, and weren't necessarily. She was very creative and very intelligent. I wonder what's come of her now, like, if she's okay, what she does and stuff, because she graduated college. But yeah, but it got bad. I mean, she kept asking, like, okay, ready now. This isn't the bad part, but yeah, and I kept telling her, no, like, you have to. I kept feeling it out and being like, no, like, there's more. You have to keep going. And eventually, I realized that I knew what I was supposed to do, which was I was supposed to write letters to all the rappers in the world, like epistles, like Paul. I was supposed to be writing these philosophical letters and challenging the philosophies of the rappers, so I could change their thinking, and that it influenced people, specifically black people in America. That was my big mission, and I felt honored to have that mission, honestly. But and her mission was, she was talking about, like, how she wanted to do. She thought of black people as clowns or something, or symbolically, and she had this whole metaphor for black people that she was working with, that she wanted to represent. And see, even now, because when I was in the hospital after this whole ordeal with her, the voices told me things about her, and even now I'm remembering what the voices were saying about her ideas, that they were like, that she wanted to scare people, and she was like evil or something. I don't remember. So anyway, we ended up talking more and more, and I was talking to her, and I felt like a professor. I was so intelligent and like wordy, and my thoughts were just flowing, and she was like, all the things that I've been realizing, and all the insights that I've been having over the past month, few months, and like dealing with my mom and like people, and learning how to like set up boundaries, and like learning and being, because I was growing personally the whole time that I was also having delusions and hallucinations, and incorrectly interpreting information, and sometimes correctly interpreting information, and like feeling like psychic and like magical and all this stuff. So fast forward to us being intimate together, and I had this really odd experience where, because I was such a fast learner, I think, something like that. I was very like I was just taking in so much information and like processing it. And I wasn't really. My attitude was that I couldn't think about magical things, or else I would like it would kill them. Like it would stop them from like being existing and being magical. Like that, like the second you were aware of like magic, or you started to question it or something, it would fall away. And I didn't want that to happen, so I've been doing things unquestionably, and like taking on new beliefs unquestionably, and like but like, okay, this is a kind of tangent, but it's another subject. Like there was this one time that I thought that I was like I could cast spells, and like I would cast spells in my hands to make them like more like loving and stuff, and like I felt like this I don't know, it's like a glow or something around my hands, and I physically looked like my hand was softening, and like I felt differently, and I felt more tender, and like I had like cast a spell on some. Like I had like I was trying to make a magnet detector, a metal detector out of like a battery and like a some kind of metal piece, some long metal thing material. And I like cast a spell on it to like, or tried to cast a spell on it to make it like amenable to using and creating with. And there's just one day where I went to the city, into the downtown, because my mom lives in a suburb, and I live with her sometimes. I lived with her at the time, and I felt like I was losing all of like the magic, like accoutrements that I've been adding to myself, like all my abilities, and like I started to like feel like I was being attacked by the city, and like the city was like, because my friend had told me that I was just very open to like ideas and like things that didn't make any sense, and like my friend told me that reality was consensus, like the construct of reality is like made by the consensus of people. And my argument was that no, there's objective reality, which is stuff that we can agree on that exists, like a touch, like that we can touch, etc. It's independent of the minds of individuals. But he was kind of arguing that it is the mind of individuals that make the world. It doesn't make any sense. And maybe I'm just not. I just didn't understand his position correctly. It's possible, but at the time we had a pretty heated discussion. It was pretty good. So I was into that kind of thing. But I started to believe him. So I would like go to areas and be like, this consensus, the consensus of reality here is like, I can't. It's not amenable to my life. I can't live around this consensus. And I thought that the downtown was consensus reality, which is like actually like this like weird, like etheric, um, like creation or emanation or something. Was there was sorry, this is more accurate. I started saying, well, I started to understand, to feel that something inside my head, my voice or something, was telling me that I could hear the voices of the city if I wanted to, and I had this choice, and I was like, no, I don't want to. I was like, maybe I should, but I was like, no, I don't want to hear the voices of the city because they would be scary. But I felt like all these whisperings, and I didn't hear any voices, but I felt the presence of all these whisperings. I thought, and I could feel the oppressive nature of the city, and it just dimmed me, and it felt really scary, and I was like disoriented, and didn't know where I was, and I had to like use magic to like make myself navigate towards the car that I was driving. And I forget how that related to the other story, but I was thinking very magically, and when I was with, consensus reality or something. I don't know how that could tie it in. But while I was with the girl, we started to, we were being intimate, and I started to feel. I was trying. Oh, because I was talking about learning and like being a really quick learner and being open to the universe, the information, and accumulating a lot of information, making quick decisions about it, and because I was very like I believed in what was going on and I didn't question it. So when I was with this girl, I started to feel like we were kissing, and she felt very cold, and I was trying to figure her out, like try to like touch, like so I could push her buttons and like make things spicy or whatever, or like get like or have a good intimate experience, and I started to understand that she was a seductress. Like I had this idea that she was a seductress, and that I was supposed to, and I slowly started to like draw away from her, and like it was like I was like I was like pulled away from her and drawn away from her, and I started to know, and she started to like kind of say, "Whoa, what's wrong?" and like kind of act like she like put her leg out towards me and stuff, and kind of like enforced that idea that she was a seductress, and then I started drawing more and more into myself, and then eventually I was like, I'm not myself anymore, obviously. Now I'm probably her ex-boyfriend, because she'd been talking about her ex-boyfriend, and she'd been talking about how she was cold, and I kind of, and how they did a lot of stuff together, and it was very vague, so I thought that because in my mind, like, I don't know, I just made so many assumptions, and I was thinking that her boyfriend was like her master, and she was just like a slave. And I thought it was a BDSM relationship. I think she talked about like American Horror Story, and the kid who was in um, the leather or the latex suit. I forget what they're called. But yeah, I forget what they're called. But so I don't know. Somehow my wires got crossed, and I expected that she was like she's used to being a slave or something. And then I expected that he hurt her, and that he was very emotional. Because I was also understanding myself. Like I was also like filtering everything through the lens of like myself and how I had been in past relationships. And I was thinking that he was very that he the way that she talked about him, like I had this idea of him that he was in that moment while I was like transforming and becoming not myself, that he was like this like baby kind of man who had like emotional problems and was like would withdraw from her. I thought I was being him so that she could like communicate with him and like get over like her trauma or something. And like the more I sat there, the more I started thinking about I started thinking all these things, and like I had like these one word thoughts. It was like, I hate her, or not one word, but I was saying like I hate her, like she hurt me, like I won't ever be her friend again. I won't touch her again. I won't talk to her again. And like I started like pouting, and she was like she didn't know what was wrong with me. She kept asking, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And I kept like just denying her for that. And internally, I thought I just was withdrawing more and more inside myself. And I started, and she got me some water, and she was like, "This is the first time I've ever shared." Anyway, and she offered me her water, and then I started thinking like about Pyramid Head from Silent Hill, and I was just making connections. The whole time I was at school, I was like out of school, I was making like all these connections in my brain, and like some of them were, I was being led to different thoughts, and like sometimes it helped me because like I was doing psychoanalysis of myself and trying to like rid myself of some of my darker parts, and I've been doing like image associations and like word associations and like talking to myself about what I was experiencing and what I felt and my thoughts and my innermost desires and stuff. And I've been looking at things in the world and making all these associations and coming up with like deep insights about the universe that, you know, some of them are decent, but a lot of them are kind of the product of a mind that didn't understand very much, and that was obviously mad, but had a deep feeling. It was like a mystic kind of like someone posted something about the how mystics and psychotics kind of tread the same water, but a mystic is able to see the light side of things, while psychotics see the dark side of things. There's like a difference in like your attitude and how you're able to interpret the world around you. But I'm pretty sure I was just psychotic. Even though now, like when I read mystical or like spiritual things, like a lot of it seems like psychosis, honestly, or just not understanding the world. But some of it's like a lot of it, like the poetry, like of like certain poets and stuff, and, like the writings of different people. I mean, it's beautiful, and it's like I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't really remember a lot of stuff that I read. But anyway, so I started thinking about Pyramid Head and connecting things in my mind, and eventually I got to like rape, and I started thinking about how he did that to her, and like I would have to do that to her or something. Like I kept thinking about it, and I was like, I was gonna do it, honestly. I was like going to like assault her, but I was like, no, I can't do that to her. Like thank God I had like some humanity left in me. I was like, no, can't do that. No, can't do that to her. So I was like, she was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm not me anymore. I was telling her that. I was like, I'm not me. I'm someone else. And eventually, I stopped. I got out of the state, and like I was like, we should watch Silent Hill right now. I was like, dude, it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm like trying to get her to watch a horror movie. So we sit down with the laptop and we start watching it, but she falls asleep and I fall asleep. This is a very bizarre evening, and it was scary. I mean, it wasn't scary at the time, but it was. I thought I was like I had this power where I could like, where I would like embody different things, and like I was like I can't articulate it, but it had to do with because I was like operating on this other level. Like everything was really complex and like deep, but it was also not attached. It wasn't part of reality. It was psychotic, and it's kind of difficult to recover psychotic thought because the psychotic thoughts that I had because they were very like complex. But but I thought I was like for her, like I was supposed to like I had this ability to like become other people, and that it would happen, and I would have to be like that because she needed to be healed or something. I don't remember. I can't remember the rationale. I can remember that I thought that I was going to become other people often, and that I could do that. That was an ability of mine. I don't remember why, how I related to her, like why I thought that was important, but I remember that for sure. Anyway, so time goes on, and like we smoke weed, and the first time we smoked weed, I was like in this like slowed down time like state where time was going really slow, and I felt really slowed down, and I was so observant and perceptive that I would watch her, and I was watching her emotional state, and I was coaching her, like telling her like things like talk to me like I'm like you want me to feel what you're saying, because she was talking very quickly and to herself mostly, and I couldn't connect to what she was saying because it wasn't on, like she wasn't attempting to connect with another human being. She was just monologuing. So I was like, talk to me so that I can feel it and stuff like that. Like I was saying things like that to like try to get her to think a little more like to become. Because I wanted her to be a queen, and I kept looking at her and thinking the word queen, and like it didn't fit her. Like I would think words and like interpret the world and see if they fit. It was weird, but I would. She never fit that, so I was trying to like coach her to becoming a queen, kind of, and like we would go on walks, and I would try to convince her that being a sociopath was actually a good thing because you could be a good sociopath, like Sherlock or something, and you could use your powers to help people. But like things happened. Like for instance, I thought that we smoked weed again, and I thought with her friend, and I had this experience. It was crazy. I saw like myself, and like I was like this white, like inside of myself, and like I was this white creature, like this, like with like sharp edges, like angles to it. It was like a wolf that was like stylized or something. It was like a different, otherworldly. It was like a being, an otherworldly animal being. And I was like, this is me now. I was like, this is me. And I had this huge, like, really orgasmic feeling where I was like, oh my god, my true self. And like, I don't know. At the same time, like I was playing music, like two different artists at the same time, and like, I started to hear like it started to stop. I was like afraid that I was, because I felt like it was like sending messages, like you could hear messages from the words, like from like the little like the times where the voice, because there was like one instrumental and one like video where like somebody was talking about something to someone else, and I felt like sometimes the voice came through that was talking over the music, and like those points were like messages, and I was like, and I felt like in this hyper world, and I looked at the girl, and like I felt like she felt paranoia, and like I felt like I was like taking on her paranoia, like a spirit of paranoia or something from her, so I could heal her. It was all happening like in the ether. It was all happening like between us, like spiritually or something. And I was like healing her from her paranoia while she was high. And she was, I mean, her friend was like, yeah, the girl that was paranoid, her friend, the girl I was talking to, her friend, she like understood what I was doing with the music. She was like, yeah, you like, you tune into something like either both of them at the same time and makes like interesting rhythms together. It's like noise, but like it can be very harmonic at times. And she interpreted my orgasm, my full body, like ecstatic, like I was in ecstasy. It was crazy. It felt so good. I was like moaning, and that freaked the girl. That freaked the girl I was talking to out the fuck out. She was freaked the fuck out. But the other girl was like, she had seen things like that on people doing shrooms or something like that. So I thought the girl was like on board and she understood me, because at that point I felt like I was that because the entity that I truly was an angel, and I was like an angel, and like at some point I had wings, and like I'd forgotten all this stuff. Like I had forgotten that I was an angel, and that I was able to understand things purely without words and like all these different things, and that I would be able to grow my wings back and all this stuff. And so so I like sat in this chair, had this like weird this like coat on that my dad bought for me. I thought it looked like a kind of coat that like a person would wear to go shoot up like a movie theater in or something. But at that time, it was like appealing to me because it made me feel like an individual. And I felt as quirky as I felt, and like cause I felt very quirky and like a whirlwind, like this being. I don't know. But so I thought this girl was like a demon. The friend, I was like, I thought that I started like having all these connections in my brain, and I was like, oh my god, this school is like filled with demons, like the school that I was at, and she's a demon. Her friends are all of this girl's friends are demons, and I was like this. And I asked her like, because I said to the girl I was talking to like, it's okay, like we're here for you or something like that. And just to gauge how the other girl would react. And so I was trying to figure out if she was like a good demon or if she was a bad demon. Like, because before I had read all that time ago in the beginning of the semester about King Solomon and demons and how he commanded demons and like how demons had different powers and like expertise, and that you could glean knowledge and understanding from demons and like command them to do things for you and to tell you things about the world. So I was trying to figure out what kind of demon she was, and like apparently she was really freaked out by me. I thought she understood it. I thought she was a demon, and she was like, I was an angel, and like we were like both there to like help this girl become like the chosen one, because she was the chosen one. And she was like actually like super important, and I was her guardian angel, and I felt like a puzzle box like that she could like ask questions of, and like I would like any question. I told her like you can ask me anything and I'll tell you. And I told her she was a crystal skull, because I thought she could remember everything and process everything and stuff, and all these different things. That was like the height of it. Not the height of it, because I got way worse. But like without hearing like voices and stuff, like that was the height of it. And we had an argument afterwards, and she confused me, because she was like, it was like she was arguing with her parents, and not like she wasn't talking to me at all. She was just arguing with like, so I don't know. It was weird. It was very, very strange. I just sat there like being patient until she like realized that she wasn't talking to me. She was talking to her parents, and she was like bringing up problems with her parents. Because I think that was what was happening, but because I wasn't really there all there, I was probably projecting or something. But I think because she had a moment where after she was talking, she was like, oh, like what the fuck was I just talking about? I wasn't really saying anything, like, but she was really mad at me for embarrassing her or something, or like She was mad at me because I scared her by having that moment of ecstasy. Um, but I told her later that her friends were demons and that she could um that she could um command them. I texted her that and didn't really observe her text afterwards. And like basically just caused mischief and terror in this girl's life by accident. And then I messaged her friend, and was like, this huge, like, gross, scary, weird, like, pagan, like, fucking, like, weirdo, like, oh, what's that guy's name? Like, spiritual message about how I wanted to fuck her, and how I was gonna, like, save her, like, purify her with my penis, and, like, I was gonna, like, bring the devil out of her, and, like, all this different stuff. And I wanted to add her to I wanted to start a harem. I even asked this girl, like, can I have sex with a lot of girls? And she was like, fine, yeah, go ahead. Something like that. I was just going off the rails. And I thought that she was going to become like a witch, like, and we were going to have the house as a stronghold, because some voice was telling me that, that like there were demons in the house or something, that I could clear them out and claim the house in the name of the Lord. That's where I got in trouble, because I started to walk around the house screaming, "Satan be gone!" At first, I went around, like, I was reading, like, because they had a bunch of these cards on the wall that had like this voice told me, like, get this, because the girl had another friend, and she was down the hall in a room down the hall, and a voice was telling me to get her a present, because the girl I was talking to, she didn't know what to get her, didn't get her any presents, and the girl got her presents, or something like that. Something weird or something that happened, that I believe that I needed to get this girl a gift to show something, so that she would leave. It became very complicated. I don't know. I don't remember. But that room had to be vacated so that the other girl could move in, and we could start, like, a magical, like, stronghold. Like, we could start, like, developing spells and, like, sigils and all these different things. And I'm like, is this how fucking cults get started? Like, now I think that, like, just crazy ass motherfuckers, like, completely psychotic, off their wig. Like, people trust them and, like, become pulled in by their charm and stuff. But I wasn't. I mean, I couldn't have been. I don't know. But so I was also. I guess I was pretty scary. I was scaring the shit out of people. But I went around the house, like, the girl. I asked her, like, if she was raped, like, to her face while she was on the phone. She was like, "Hold on, I'm talking to my mom," and she went back in her room. But I was just like, so I was concerned about her. I wanted to talk to her about it or something, because I read all these note cards on the wall that were, like, really, like, weird. They were like jokes and stuff about, like, how big a man's dick was, or like how it was unwanted. Like, it was just really strange, concerning jokes about, like, sex. And I got the impression that, like, this house was filled with, like, people that were, that all her friends were raped or something. And like, because she told me too that she had been raped by two dudes, and twice. Anyway, so I went around this house, like, and I was like, I claim this house in the name of God. Satan, I cast you out. Satan, I was yelling at the top of my lungs, like, Satan, I cast you out. I could feel this, like, presence of a Satan, of, like, this, like, etheric, like, pressure that was, like, lifting as I was, like, saying it. And I went back in my room, and, like, fucking, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes later, or something like that. I don't remember. Maybe later that night. There's groups, like, tons of people just start coming into the room. And I'm thinking, these are the demons. Like, these are all demons. And they're like, you need to get out of this room. And I'm like, this is my kingdom. Like, I'm the man of this room. Like, I'm this girl's boyfriend. Like, I have to, like, I have to, like, hold my ground. So I'm like sitting in this chair, like at the end of the room, and these people opposite side of the door, and these people coming in, like these dudes and these girls, and they're like, I'm thinking like, oh god, they're here, they want to kill me or something like that. Um, and I'm like white knuckled, like set, like I'm not going anywhere, I'm not leaving, and they're like, you need to leave, and they're like, her name is Maya. They're like, Maya, um, has told us that you need to go. Like everybody wants you to go, you need to go. And I was like, no, I'm not leaving until I didn't believe any of them. I believe that they were like making it up and that they like pretended like to text themselves from Maya's number or something and just like call the number Maya's number from on their phone, like edited somebody else's contact information to be Maya's contact information. Even though it wasn't her. So, and these dudes were there, and like they were gonna like try to like um, intimidate me or like pull me out, but they didn't. They called public safety. Thank God I didn't get into a fight. They called public safety, and I didn't. For some reason I didn't think public safety was like evil. Like I was just like at that point I was just like, okay, call Maya. If Maya says that she doesn't want me in here, she's my girlfriend. Like if she doesn't want me in here, then I'll leave. And so they called her, and she was like, "Oh, I'm on my way," and I was like, "Okay." So she'll probably say I'm safe. So she comes and she's like, I'm like, she's like, that's not my boyfriend. The police asked her, like, is this your boyfriend or something? And she's like, no, it's not my boyfriend. He can leave or something like that. So they're like, okay. And I'm like, oh shit, okay. So I get up. I didn't have any like weird thoughts at the time. Oh, I forgot to mention there was one point where when I thought I was an angel, the very beginning of it, where I looked at her, like I had this whole moment. I looked inside of her. It was like I looked inside of her and like got all of this like information. Like it was like this white stream that came into me. It was like this understanding of nonverbal understanding, and I just started to like freak out. I was like, "How could you do this to me? What the fuck?" Like it was like I started reacting, and I was like, "Why? Why would you do this to me?" And I started to like try to think about why, because I was like, I knew something without knowing it, like without any words, without any expression, without any signs or signals. I just had this knowledge because of I was an angel and I was able to ascertain things non-verbally. I just knew things, but I still wanted to understand what I knew. So like it dawned on me that like she was a voodoo priest or something, and that she had used voodoo in order to attract me to her. Like, because she told me that or voodoo or something like that, or like she was like a witch and she like attracted me to her. And then I was like, what the fuck? This is so scary. Like, why would she do this to me? Like, she like took me out of like the world, like heaven or something, or the world, like to be with her. Like, why would she do this to me? And I started thinking, I was like, wait, I've been like, I mean, because she told me she had a Pinterest, like where she was like had a vision board of like kings, and like she had been trying to like manifest like in her life like a boyfriend or something, and she'd been talking to God about it and like all this different stuff. So I was like, why would you've been like like trying to get me into your life, like you've been pulling on me for so long and to get me here, and like I was like, why would you do this to me? And then I realized like I've been doing the same thing because I've been trying to manifest a girlfriend in my life. So I was like, I'm sorry, I love you. I was wrong. I didn't say I love you because I didn't, but I've been doing the same thing to you. So, but it was very weird. Anyway, so the police escort me out, and like, so I'm in the car, and like this is when the voice started like telling me what to do, and like um, it was like I don't know, just this voice. It was like just came to me. I mean, I had been telling like I had a voice telling me like stuff before that, and like informing my movements, and, like telling me like tips and stuff. But this was like it really started to stay with me. It was like my companion or something. Like this is when it started to like stick to me, or really come out and verbalize things like all the time. And it told me it was like to get okay. So what you have to do is like pretend like you're like upset about the girl so that they don't take you to jail. It was like coaching me through this experience of like being in a cop car, and I started saying like, "God, what a fucking bitch" and stuff like this, and I was like, "Women are crazy," and I was trying to empathize, like really make a scene out of it, to seem like I was innocent in the situation, and that and then the police officer started to empathize with me, and were like, "Yeah, man, like yeah, girls can be crazy sometimes. Like girls, they're on my tip with me." So it was like, yeah, so it was like the voice was instructing me on how to kind of play these officers so that I wouldn't get in trouble or more trouble. So they ended up bringing me back to my dorm, and that's when like the voice was like, okay, it was started telling me that it was my dad. This is where it gets like fucking crazy. The voice started telling me that it was my dad, and that my dad was, I guess if I can remember, that my dad was trying to, that it was my dad, and like he was like all right, he was like, my dad was everybody, and that like my dad was every person, like everybody and everything or something, and that he was trying to get me to experience, like to become like I don't remember what idea came first, but somehow like he was trying to convince me that like, well, he was, because at some point, because at the very beginning it wanted me to go through this experience of being in the astral plane so that I would become like my design, like one of my favorite artists, like my favorite musical artists, and I would be like, I had to go through this experience of being in the astral and like experiencing like everything in the world so that I could come back like a musical genius, because and it was saying that like the people before, like all the musical artists that I like really looked up to. I mean, I wasn't a musician or anything, but I still, or not looked up, like that I thought were awesome and incredible, had gone through this experience. So, I mean, this is hell. Sorry, but this experience was hell. God, I don't even want to talk about it, honestly, because I don't want to relive anything that happened. I mean, for the sake of documentation, I'll talk a little bit, but I don't know. We'll see how I feel. But so it was like, okay, it gave me instructions. It was like, well, before that, it told me that my roommate was a spirit called an Ifrit, which was Ifrit, I think, is like a summon in Final Fantasy X. It's like a fire beast thing, like shoots meteors from the sky and an attack and stuff. And I thought there were people with, I had been using Ifrit to describe people, I forget what I was describing, like people with like a fiery disposition, or like a mischievous spirit that was also like strong and kind of like renegade or something like that. So it was telling me that like my roommate was an Ifrit, a spirit, and that he was created he was a demon as well. He's an Ifrit and a demon, and that he was like like supposed to be like dimming me, like my powers, like as an angel or something, like that he was like in that he was supposed to be like bringing me down. And so I got there, I was like, why would you do this to me, man? He was like, what are you fucking talking about? I was like, why would you do this? Like, like, why would you do this to me? And then I got in my bed, and the voice started telling me that like I had to tell them that I was gonna be gone, like I was gonna go into a deep sleep, and that I would wake up, and like it was still telling me that it was my dad, and it was like, and I was like, somehow I tested that out. I forget what I said to them. No, it was like, okay, tell them you're gonna go to sleep, and tell me your dad, but you gotta tell them as your dad. It was like, I'll understand you. Like I'm everywhere. I'm everything. I'm just pretending like I'm like not like your dad or something. But I thought people were my dad. Like I thought that people were my dad, just like different, like that he was like being different entities and like individuals. Like so, until um I talked to them, and I'm like I talked to him, like I talked to them and tell them I'm gonna go to sleep and then I'm gonna wake up like, different or something. And one of the roommates is like, but for the better, right? And I'm like, yeah, for the better. And like I felt like this was this like I was like, yeah, okay, this kid is my dad, because how else would he know that I was gonna wake up for the better? A very confused thought. So, but my roommate was like, okay, weirdo. But I thought he was just an ifrit, so I was like, no shit and demon. So he wasn't really like responding to me. But I don't even remember. I don't have a really good memory of what happened next. But like, I went to go like sleep or go into the astral, and somehow they ended up leaving the room because I was being weird and like psychotic. I don't remember why they left the room, but they did. And ended up that I was like talking to different like the furniture in the room, because the furniture had become my grandma and my dad, and it was and like I don't want to talk about this, man. My grandma kept saying like, you know me, like she kept repeating something, and it was like so loud in my head, and it was like searing and like just like it was I wanted like it was like inside of my head, it was like going through my head, and she kept repeating it, and I had to like keep trying to figure out like it was like this puzzle, and I was like talking to this voice was so smart. It was like my dad, and it was like, think through this, man. You can do this. Like, just you must talk to your grandmother. And I was like, okay. And I was like trying to understand. Like, he was like, think about it, man. Like, what are you good at? Puzzles, right? I was like, yeah. So he was like, okay, this is a puzzle. And I was like, okay. So I was like trying to think through like my grandma, like how to respond to her to get her to like move on to the next, to like say something or something. And um my dad, the other like the dresser or whatever, which was my dad, or like had a presence that was like emanating, that was like specific to it, and I could like feel like it was like white light was coming off of everything, but I couldn't see the white light. I just knew it was there. This hallucinations was really weird because like they didn't exist, but like I could see them. They were not in like real, but I still knew that they were there. Like the energy that I felt from people, like I could kind of see, like it had colors, but it wasn't there. It wasn't visible. It just was this sensing, like this extra sense that I had. Um, anyway, so I don't. This is kind of complicated. It was kind of complex. I can't really put it together that well in my brain. But my dad, I ended up like becoming the psychologist for this entity that was my father, because it wanted to like swallow me and like make me go through the astral so that I could experience like all of this pain and like torture and stuff, because my grandmother had made my dad experience pain and torture, and started telling me things like that, like my dad was like that my grandma, like this really dark story, like series of stories about like my dad and my grandma, my dad, and how she had taken him to um like a porn, like a blue movie, or what are they called, adult film house or adult theater, and left him there or something, or like she had whored him out basically to people, and he was raped by men and women at a young age, and like she was like evil, like she was bad, she was really bad to him, like she put him through all this like rape because I think she was herself put through it or something. And then there was this other story that she was Mother Nature, and my dad, in order to get in order to get back at her, my dad had become everything that was fabricated, like chairs and like buildings and stuff, because he wanted to just like hurt Mother Nature. Like he was like it was like he was enjoying the pain of like people like creating. I don't even think people had created it like things in this world, but he was like the product of like saws and like destructive implements. Take that Mother Nature could feel, which was my grandmother, um, and she was being hurt, and he was like I had to solve puzzles, like all these different like verbal puzzles and like weird things like that it put to me, and um, and like I had to be a psychologist and like do talk therapy with this voice that was my father and my grandmother, and like try to like resolve their problems, and then he was like, okay, people are gonna come and they're gonna I'm gonna put it was like I have to put you through pain and like destruction and stuff. He was like, so like people like, so I was like probably talking very loud and like screaming and like in distress, and or my roommates called people or something, but the doctors came and the police came and they're trying to open the door. My dad was like, "That's me at your door." The voice was like, "That's me at your door," and it was like they're gonna come and rape you, and like they're all gonna like do things to you. And I was like, oh my god. So I had to like, I was like trying to think my way out of everything, and like I was like trying to be safe, and like um, it was like such a dire situation, and like I wouldn't let them in at first, but then like I started to let them in, and I was just like I kept talking to them and like try to stop like diffuse them from like cause I talked to him like my dad was like, just talk to them like they're me, it'll be fine. It was like I was being put through this thing to make me stronger as a individual, because later the voice was like my dad, the voice, it was like I want you to like become like like it was like you to become you're gonna become an entity just like me, and you're gonna have your own devil. I'm the devil right now, and you're gonna fight my devil. He was like just keep being yourself or something like that. So like it was like I had to go through like what he was gonna try to do to me and resist it at every point, because he was like challenging me, because he had to, because we were a warrior family or something, like a warrior clan, and also he had to like make me into like a god. We were like these gods. We were like this god warriors that were like part of like this universal order that was like, it was just crazy. That was like we had a responsibility of being gods, like the gods in the universe, and like creating universes. And he was like, you can create your own universe. Like just go through this, like go through the astral, and like you'll be able to create your own universe and like govern your own universe just like me. So that's why you have to experience everything, so that you can have infinite wisdom, and so that you can have everything within you, this whole universe within you, and you can create at your will, all this different stuff. And I was like, holy shit! Like I was hallucinating like this devil creature, like, but like it was like super like technological. No, it was like weird. It was anyway. Um so I ended up with these cops, and like eventually got to the point where they like took my stuff and like got me ready to leave, and like I left with them, and like not before I said a number of like rude and impolite things to them, like to try to like defuse them and like talk. Cause I was trying to talk. I was talking to them as if they knew and that they're my dad, and they were just going along with it because I guess what else would you do? Like it's probably safe to go along with someone and try to coax them into safety so that you can bring them away. But I thought that they were gonna rape me just like they had raped my father, because the voice was telling me that the police, like everybody, had raped my dad. And so I was like terrified, and like I was like on edge and like stressed out, and like really like trying to persuade people to like talking about their personalities and stuff, and like trying to like keep them at bay. So fast forward, they're taking me this in the police car to the hospital, and the whole time, like I thought that the voice was telling me that I had to be gay because my dad was gay, and I didn't want to be gay because I didn't want to like. It was like you have to do stuff with this police officer or something because you just have to. And I was like, no. And so I kept like asking him, like, are you gay? And he's like, no, I'm not gay, but are you? And I was like, I couldn't answer no or something. But it was so scary because I was like on this dark road with this police officer who was like burly, who I kind of suspected of being gay, and I was like, I don't want to. And the voice was telling me that I had to have sex with him, but I was trying to like outwit my father, the voice, and not have sex with him at the same time, and like be smarter than it, and like, um, oh my god, this psychosis is terrible. I hate psychosis. Just thinking about other things that happened and just the whole like I'm so glad that I was intelligent enough to not do things and like to figure out like because the whole time it was like I had and plus the way that the voice set it up was like I had to think through all these situations and scenarios um but I was still like at mercy of the voice because it knew more than me. It was very smart and like told me about like all these like the people around me and like all the things that were going on and it was just it was harrowing. But it was really scary in that police car. I thought it was gonna like we were gonna have to like have sex and like I got to the hospital and the voice was telling me that everybody in the hospital like I wasn't really at a hospital but like everybody had like a thing and like I had to like I saw like everybody as like a sadist or like a masochist or like not understanding the human body or like all these different like or wanting to cut apart the human body for like sexual like enjoyment or like um it's like a like fascination and stuff. So I kept talking to these people like they were like evil, and it made this terrible tense atmosphere in the hospital. I was like afraid that they were like calling people to like take me away because the voice was telling me that I was going to be the president. It was going to make me the president of the United States, and I had to figure out like it was. Oh my god, the fucking scary! It's so scary to think about. But it's trying to tell me that I had to like it was like this machine. It was like this like spiritual like or like this like like this device kind of that I could use. It manifested as like the I forget what it was, but there was something on the ceiling that it was like its presence became that. And I could see it, and it was like this like beautiful like weird like divine geometry and stuff. And like at one point it was a lion or something. It was like use me, like I will do whatever you want me to. And I thought those people were evil, so I was like, okay, like flood the place with lions. And I expected to see lions, and like I was like hallucinating some, but or at least imagining some. I don't know if I was hallucinating, but they didn't come, and I was like, you have to use me. Gave me some like constraints for like how I could use it or something. Um, and then I remembered something about like how like you create the world around you, and because I realized that like I was like freaking out. Like somehow I realized that I was freaking everybody out, and like I was creating the problems of like I was creating the tense atmosphere. I forget how I figured that out, but I did, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm doing this, so I'm just gonna pretend like everything's fine. Like people are like cool. Like I don't mistrust anybody. Like they're just doctors and stuff. I was thinking through this and deciding to like change my attitude. And I was like, because I still had my mind, but I was under the um, spell of this voice, and it's under its like because I was also detached from reality, but I could still think to a certain degree. I didn't I didn't know like what was going on with the voice. Like I thought the voice was because I only knew what the voice told me um, about itself and about what. Cause I had never heard a voice like that before, and like I just wasn't. I was just like turned into like this like small scared being that was just like completely dependent on it, and it kept talking to me and like informing me of things, and it was just so. Um, so I um, this is a long story. I don't know how much I feel like telling all of it. But anyway, so another pretty particular freaky thing that happened was I was being driven to another hospital, to the psychiatric hospital or whatever, by this an ambulance, and there was a medic or a paramedic in the back with me, in the, I don't know what they call it, a cabin. I don't know what they call it. He was in the ambulance with me, in the back, and the voice was like, it was telling me like it could control anybody it wanted, or something. It was like convincing that it was like God or something. Don't remember, but it was telling me that I could control anyone it wanted to. So I was like, I was like, prove it, because it was very intimate with me. It was like talking to me like nicely and stuff, and I was like, it read my thoughts, and like I knew I wanted to prove it. It was like, okay, I'll prove it for you. And I don't remember if I looked or like I just had this hallucination or like what was going on, because I can't remember clearly. But it told me to look behind me or something. I looked behind me, and the guy, thinking about it now, like, yeah, or something, like, oh shit. But the guy waved at me and was like, hi, the medic. And I was like, oh god, yeah, you're right. Like, oh shit, he can control anybody at any time. It was still I think it was still my dad. I'm not sure. But it didn't, no, it wasn't my dad right then. It was like God or something. And so it freaked me out. Or it didn't freak me out. I was just like, oh, okay. I'm in the care of this voice. Like, so I had to keep my thoughts positive also, or else like it would turn negative and scary. So I was trying to keep positive thinking, like, going. And the voice was like, okay, just relax. I'll take care of you. He was like, I was like, where are we going? And I had no idea what was going on. I was so disoriented. It was like, wherever you want to. Just tell me a place and I'll take you there. So I was like, okay. And I was just thinking of places, and I was like, Atlantis. And then the voice was like, you sure you want to go there? It's full of weird, creepy people. Like, very odd, like, weird beings that, like, do weird things and stuff. And I was like, oh, or something. And I don't remember if I agreed still to go or if I was just, like, too freaked out. I think I agreed. I was like, okay. But then I reneged. I was like, no, because I looked around and I expected I was like, are we gonna start like submerging into like water? Like I was looking at the windows. I don't even think there were there. I was hallucinating windows because there are no windows in an ambulance. Are there? Nope. I was hallucinating that. And I thought that I was like looking out the windows, and I thought that there was gonna be water, like filling up, and that we were gonna submerge, and that I was gonna end up actually like going, because I felt it was like way too real to me. I was like, oh shit, we're gonna be in Atlantis, and I'm gonna be around a bunch of mermaids and like weird fish creatures that do weird things to each other. And I was like, no, never mind. I tried to make it go away, and it did. But we got to the hospital, and it started telling me like, I don't know, I don't remember this part very well, but I felt like this sexual being. I was like being brought. Well, am I gonna tell this whole story? I'm like a quarter of the way there, maybe. But I started changing, and I started being really sexual with people, like the nurses and stuff, and like making all these like catty sexual jokes and stuff. And I was just like, I felt like I was like energizing everybody, and like everybody was giggling at me and like giggling at the things that I was saying. and it was very, it was quite. I had never felt that way before in my life, and I haven't felt that way since. I was like this like sexual being, and it was like you're gonna have to be like this because you're gonna be having sex with a lot of people. It was like your true nature is a whore, like you're a slut. Like it was telling me that like as a child I've been a really weird child, and that like I'd done weird things with people. Like that they saw me as like a sexual, like I was like this, like that I wanted sex when I was a baby, and that everybody thought I was a weird baby, um, and that I had sex with like a bunch of people when I was a baby or a kid, like, and that this is my true nature, but like something had happened, and like I forgotten it or something, but it was like awakening me back to my true nature. And so I was like very sexy and like suggestive, and like it was a scary looking dude. Honestly, I wonder if I actually hallucinated him. He had like scars and stuff, and I never saw him again in the hospital, so it was very likely that I did hallucinate him and the woman. Maybe not the woman because she was actually helping me, but this guy was just like standing around. He like didn't look like he belonged there at all. That's actually really scary. I didn't realize that was. So that's what I look like. So the brain, that's weird. Scary. That's frightening. Oh God. But the thing, the voice was telling me that he was gonna rape me, and I had to like say these like magic words, like to use my willpower to like stop him from coming and raping me in the shower. So I was like screaming like these like you I get these like cryptic message like you are not me, I am not you. Oh, the voice told me to that a lot. It was like you are not me, I am not you. Like it was trying to. It was weird. I'll explain maybe, but that's freaky. But yeah. It was like I said these magic words, and like the guy never came back. He was in a hallucination, definitely. But that's so weird. I just realized that I didn't realize that until now. But like, what would that dude be? Anyway. Now I'm wondering, like, how many people, like, whether or not I hallucinated, like, more people. Because I was definitely, like, not well. And there were other people in the psych ward with me. But some of them were only there, like, I don't remember if they were there the whole time, or if I only saw them, like, once, and then they left. Like, there were definitely people who, like, I think I hallucinated, like, a lot of that. That's freaking me out. There are a lot of people there that I think weren't really there. Like, there was one girl that was, like, admitted, and she came in, and she was only there for, like, a day, or, like, a night. And then there were other people who were, maybe they were real. But everybody felt very strange to me. Everything was so strange in the hospital. That's scary. Oh, I just got shaken to my core. Shaken to my core. But now I'm scared I'm gonna see that guy or something. I just need to relax. I am on medication and I'm fine. Fuck. This is why I don't talk about it. Well, not really. And anyway, so I was in the psych ward, and then the voice got really weird and started like coaching me spiritually or something. And I had these very bizarre experiences. I don't even want to talk about it. I should, but now I feel really weird. But being in the hospital was, I saw things like spirits, like weird spirit things, and like the voice told me. The voice had me like eat, like according to like its etiquette. That's weird. The voice told me to eat like according to like etiquette and stuff, and like I don't know. It taught me how to talk to it. It was like, you are not me and I am not you, and it like kept saying that, like to like train me. And then I mean, it was so loud. I was so okay, I'm just useless. I'm gonna stop this video. Oh, I want to talk about it. Fuck it, I'm gonna talk about it. That's already an hour and a half. I've told most of the story, so I might as well finish it. And at one point, like, it told me that, like, it was greed. Like, there was this other voice that came in my head. It was like, I'm greed and lust and power, and, like, I'll become. So I thought I was a shaman. It told me I was a shaman, and that, it was, like, my guide. And, God, I feel so scared. It's weird that you can see things that aren't there, and they look perfectly real. But, like, I hallucinated a whole human being. So weird. That's so bizarre. I saw a whole human being. Like, that wasn't really there. Fucking weird. Fucking crazy. Schizophrenia is a monster, man. It's a scary, scary thing. It's a nightmare. Hearing voices that are... and seeing things, and... I'm, like... having like physical hallucinations. Like that whole psychotic break. Like, I've been psychotic for a while, but like I've been accumulating all these beliefs that were like magical, not grounded in reality, and I was unquestioning. But it just ballooned into this massive like mind fuck that was just like, I haven't even. Anyway, so I don't want to talk about the hospital. I got out of the hospital and I went back home, and I don't know this, and the voice turned evil, like very scary, And I'm just gonna summarize because I don't even feel like it. I just want to get through this. My it told me I was gonna kill my dad, but it like had this whole plan for me, and like it was trying to make me, it turned me evil. Like I agreed to like kill people on his behalf and stuff, and it was put like I had like all these horrific images of myself like killing my dad in like these really brutal ways, and eventually I was like, Dad, I think I'm in danger of hurting you, so I probably should go that like whatever. And the voice told me that it was gonna like that would like make a blood feud between my dad and I. Like it was like you tell your dad that, and he's gonna try to kill you first, and like you guys are gonna be racing to kill each other. But I told him anyway, so I was scared, and went to the hospital. Took me to the hospital, and the voice started telling me that it was in like. I mean, it started like taking away. Like I felt like all of my warmth as a person was being taken away from me, and I felt so cold. And it was like I'm evil, and like evil is an entity. Like evil, like there's evil in the world, and evil takes over people, and evil makes people do really really bad things to themselves and to each other. Like you're gonna like hurt yourself, and, like break your arms, and we're gonna mend you, and you're gonna like cut off your hands, and we're gonna mend you. You're gonna like have dinner with like dead bodies, and like be surrounded by like detritus and like dead things, and you're gonna meet other people who are also controlled by evil, and they're gonna hurt each other and like do unspeakable things. You're gonna feel it all, and you're gonna live forever, and we're gonna be able to control you forever, even after you die. That was before it was telling me that even after you die, I'm gonna isolate you in like a coma, like in this special like spiritual plane, and you're going to suffer for eternity. It was so scary, and it told me that, and then it switched up, and it was like you are actually. It was like convincing me that like I was in this. I was actually experience like that the world is actually like this facade that was created for me. And this still freaks me out to this day. Like I still kind of think about this delusion. That it was created for me, and that it was made to torture me, and like that I was, there's like that like these interdimensional beings, but then it also told me that these interdimensional beings that were like Hellraiser beings took over these people, like have normal people inside of them, and they take over the interdimensional beings, and they torture them inside of their own selves like forever. And it was like I'm activating you now, so that, and then it was also like I'm activating you now so that people, because also like the world was made for me, and like everybody in the world was made like is there to torture me, like everybody, like every single person. It was like this is your awakening, like now from now on you are like everybody in the world is going to figure out how best to like hurt you, and they're going to do it in unspeakable ways. Whatever you imagine, like it kept making me imagine like these tortures, and it was like whatever you imagine, it's going to be worse than that. And it's like, so it kept making me imagine things, and it's like, nope, wow, you're making it worse for yourself. It's going to be even worse than that. And like I thought that if I thought that the doctors and stuff were like these evil like beings, like they were like interdimensional beings that were going to torture me, and that they were interviewing me and talking to each other like with this like special language, and that they were just planning on how they were going to best seclude me and torture me. And like it was telling me like kids were going to come and like cut me open and like all this stuff, and like doctors were going to like break my arms and like do it slowly, and like they were going to like all this different stuff, and it was like, nope, worse than that, nope, worse than that. Every time I thought about what they were going to do to me, it was terrible. So, and I was terrified, and like my dad was with me, and it was like your dad. It was like I had this like weird hallucination of him being like this like being, and I was trying to feel him out, like his energy, and I thought he was gonna rape me, but it was like, nope, he's weird. He's not like that. The voice was like, he's not that kind of being. He doesn't rape. He does other things, like weirder things, and it kind of had this like feeling that everybody was a weirdo, like this like they were deviants. They like to hurt people in different ways, and according to their own like unimaginable deviance that like had no bounds in like the reality that I knew. And It was a horror. It was horrific. And like they ended up giving me a shot, and like I hallucinated like my dad's breath. Like his face was so scary. It was like hyper real, and his breath was like dead things. It was so gross, and like he was breathing on me on purpose or something. And like I hallucinated like he gave me food, and like I hallucinated like hairs on the food, and I felt like he was and voice was telling me that he was poisoning me, but and like he kept like putting food in my mouth because like he did like once or twice or something. And he kept offering me food, and he was like, "This is how I'm gonna hurt you." The voice was like, "This is how." And I was hearing his voice as well. I was hearing people's like their voices. Like I wasn't supposed to listen to them because it was against like etiquette for like higher dimensional beings and like lower dimensional beings. And I was a lower dimensional being, and I was doing something. I was making them mad by listening into them and like talking to them directly and stuff. Like I had to like. So like I would be sitting in like the doctor would be interviewing me, and like I would just be giving like the most sheepish answers because I thought he was like I was supposed to like I don't know, but so I ended up going to sleep after they gave me a shot, and I was in the same room with my dad, and I was so scared. I was like, well, whatever's gonna happen will happen. Like I accepted it at some point. I was like, fine, this is my fate. Like okay, whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. And it was really scary, but I was like screaming and crying, like saying no, and like it was really bad. But then they took me to a different hospital. They took me to a hospital in I forget where, but they took me to a different hospital because that one was full or something, or they didn't want. I don't know. It was full. That's what they said. That it was full. And the voice told me that this hospital was made for people who were criminally insane, and like had like killed people and like done unspeakable things. And I was feeling energy like weirdly, so I like, was interpreting people's energy as like deadly and like they were gonna hurt me. It was something that this was like prison, and that like because the first day I got in there, like this dude was like called me shorty, and I was like, "What are you doing? Are you trying to figure out if I'm a bitch or not?" And the voice told me to go pee in like waste baskets so that I could like assert my dominance or something. But it didn't tell me. It was like go pee in the waste baskets, and I was like no. And I went back in my room and it was like you were supposed to do that so you could assert your dominance and like show that you were the main wolf or something. Like you have to fight. It was to give me options. It was like either do that or fight that dude. And I was like no, I won't do any of those things. So like that stay became me refusing a lot. Like the voice tried to get me to do things, and like I kept refusing. And like at one point, it started to like I got scared of it because it like I was hallucinating this like like this like I was hallucinating fire. It was like really hot. Like it was like a heater was by me, and it was just like this like searing fire, and it hurt so bad. Like when it got close to me. And the voice was like, "I'm doing that," and took credit for it, and was like, "If you don't do what I tell you, I'm gonna burn you. I'm gonna burn you alive or something." So like I ended up like on the floor like naked. Like I ended up like in the and I was in the shower, and it was like, and it was telling me to put it on cold. I couldn't be comfortable, so I did, and I was just like in the shower, like avoiding the water, and I don't know. But but then it started changing, like the more that I was in the hospital, and it started like interpreting everybody's actions for me, and it got more benign the longer I was in the hospital. Because it said it was my friend. It was like okay, it was trying to teach me how to like be a better friend, but it also put me through hell. Like it made me think that that I was gonna go to trial. It was like setting up perfectly, like exactly why my behaviors and like what I've done, like we're gonna like lead up to like me going to prison, like being like destroyed by people in prison. And also try to make me gay and like try to make me do gay things to people. And like wanted me to like go make the dude my boyfriend. who was calling me shorty and like be his prison bitch or something. And I kept seeing like these like terrible like pornographic and like really violent things. Man, I had a really bad time. Now I'm just like freaked out by that dude that I saw. I'm like scared. Like I'm looking, like I keep feeling it. Like this dude, just, like I don't know, but I'm scared he's gonna show up again. I keep like imagining him. But yeah. Eventually I got better. I got out of hospital and went home, and it stayed pretty bad. Like the voice was telling me that it was like my master. It was like you're my slave. So I was a slave, and then like something about a bomb. Like I had a bomb around my throat or something. I forget. It's gonna like make me into a slave and like it's gonna blow me up. I thought I had it was irrational. Like I thought like I had a bomb collar on, I think, or something. It was like I'm gonna make everybody think that you have schizophrenia. And I went to the doctor and like, you have schizophrenia. And I was like, oh shit, the voice did this. But I was also but then I think the meds started to work, or like my psychotic episodes started to die down, one or the other. I think meds are like to stop that from happening. I think it's hard when you're already in the throes of a psychotic episode for your brain to calm down, I guess. Like it has to just run its course or something before the meds can do what they're supposed to do. But I feel like they made it better. Also, like in the hospital, I had a realization. I finally accepted that I cried over it. It was like I'm schizophrenic, and I cried, and I was like, shit, that means I hallucinate and stuff. And like I really kind of had a deep realization and acceptance of like my condition. And when I got out, like I still heard the voice, but like it was like in my stomach. It wouldn't talk to me. Like I kept like having to like defy it and like make proclamations and like in spite of it and try to like become like autonomous and like to like put it beneath me. And I felt like I was getting better, but it would still, like I still had nightmares, and it would still like come in my dreams and like talk to me and like manipulate my dreams to be really scary. And then I would be like I was at a friend of my dad's house, and I thought I was gonna rape his wife, and it was really terrifying. And then the next day I was working with him painting a house, and I thought I felt like I was gonna like murder this dude there. So I had to like leave the house and like walk around outside and like come back in and lay down on the ground. No one knew what was going on with me. So I didn't tell them like, hey, I think I'm gonna murder this guy, because there was a big knife, and like I looked and like I just felt like there's like this presence, or I don't know, like this atmosphere of like I was like lying on the ground, and I was like I was acting abnormally, and before that the guy told me that he was like kind of nervous or something in some way, like that he like got scared of things. So I was like, he's probably scared of me now. So like I was like, now I'm probably a monster to him, something like that. And I was like, I gotta kill him or something. So it was just, and I was like, oh my god, this is terrifying. Like I felt like I had to kill him. Like I was being like pressured and like forced, like moved along, pushed to kill him. So it was really scary. But eventually the voice stopped, and I didn't hear it anymore. And I had no more psychosis. And it was so weird. Like, there was this one time where I was at my family's house for Christmas, and I felt like my mind was slipping, and like I was gonna have no more attachment to reality. And like, I don't know, like I was hanging out with them, and they were talking, and I felt like the conversation was like rebuilding my brain, and like I had like, I don't know, and like giving me and because you're supposed schizophrenia, part of their treatment is to be social and be around people they love and care about, and that I was around people I loved and care about, and it helped me. But yeah, I mean, after that, after all that horrific shit and confusing time and everything, like, I felt okay, and I didn't hear the voice really. And eventually I stopped having nightmares, and I stopped feeling sensations that weren't there, or things that weren't there. And now, I mean, now I feel much better, and I am able to live like clear-headed. Like, I don't think about anything. Like, I don't think about schizophrenia. I don't really think about. I think about who I was before and like how I'm different a lot. I had to kind of readjust to life after not being like psychotic anymore, because I've been psychotic for so long and like had symptoms for so long. Like, I was very accustomed to like life like that. But I'm gonna be afraid of that guy. Like, I just need to stop talking about it. Just ignore it. But yeah, that's kind of my journey with schizophrenia, like in a nutshell. It gets better. You just have to get medicated and go to therapy and talk about what's been up with you. The person who's willing to listen, and get control of yourself and learn how to ignore the voice and not think that it's real. Kind of know what it really is and like put it in its place. It's just your thoughts. It's your mind. It's all of it just not working correctly and attacking you, kind of. But I don't take it as an attack. I don't know. I don't really have wisdom because I've been medicated, and it's not like I had stopped the voices on my own. Like, it dwindled over time, and the medicine started to work. That, or I just stopped having symptoms. But I think it was the medicine, because the medicine didn't work at first at all. But when I was in the hospital, I was on meds, and I was still fucking crazy. But I don't know if it helped, because there was a point where it became less intense. But I was still hearing voices and stuff. But yeah, so that was my 2018 into a little bit of 2019. But this year's been pretty good. I finished my first semester at college, made a friend. I've been changing and developing, growing a lot, feeling more confident, more comfortable with myself, and being alone, and being with people, learning how re-socializing and learning how to be social again, and enjoying my people's company, and learning about myself and finding myself, finally, and doing it with a clear, sane mind. So I'm really grateful for modern psychiatry and what they've been able to do. And yeah, so thanks for listening. This has been really not great, but it's been probably better. It's good to talk about these things. It's the first time I've like really talked about the whole timeline, and it's taken me 2 hours. So yeah. All right. Have a good day. Bye.